Good evening, good evening, good evening. What a great day to be alive. What a great day to be a Christian. This right here, man, is Romans 7. I know people think I can't read, man. I ain't got no glasses. I gotta get some glasses. I'm getting worse and worse. But this is Paul. And people, this is famous because people always say, they paraphrase and things like that. And they say, he said the things that he think not to do, he do the things that he think to do, he don't do, you know, because the sin live within him, right? And I'm gonna start at the fifth verse, chapter 7, fifth verse, and I'm gonna read until 14, right? And it says, "For when we were in the flesh, the motion of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members, to bring forth fruit unto death. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead within, we were held, that we should serve in the newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter. What shall we say then? Is this law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet. But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manners of conscience. For without the law, sin was dead. For I was alive without the law once. But when the commandment came, sin revived, and I died. And the commandment which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. For sin taking occasion by the commandment deceived me, and by it slew me. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandments holy and just and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? God forbid. But sin, appear sin, that it might appear sin, work of death in me, by that which is good, that sin by the commandments might become exceedingly sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. All right. In this part where he says, for I was, for I was without the law once, meaning no law, no godly law. He was doing the commandments of the Roman Empire, Roman army, carrying out, killing Christians, whatever they told him, whatever the decree was, he was doing it, and he was a general, he was living life, you know, that's what he was doing. And then he said, but when the commandments came, sin revived. See, he said, I was alive without the law once. You know what I'm saying? Without the law, sin was dead, meaning he had no conscience of it. But it said, but when the commandment came, sin revived, and I died. It says that with much wisdom is grief, and which with much uh it said with what much knowledge there's grief, and with much understanding there's sorrow. Much wisdom there's sorrow. That's in Ecclesiastes, right? So what that means is, think about this. when I grew up, I followed the law of the land. It was certain things that was taught to me. If one fight, we all fight. You know, if one get in trouble, we stick up for each other. We all ride it down. Um, you know, you can mess with this one as long as the other one don't find out. Tick for tat. If they do this to you, you do this to them, right? And see, those were so-called rules, street rules, you know. And once I became a Christian, I realized that there is no tick for tat. What you do to me, I can't give you. I gotta give you indifferent. I gotta give you love when you give me wrong. That's one law. You know, if you know, if you backdoor me, you do something, steal from me and stuff like that, I can't do nothing to you. That's law. So coming up, the law of God was dead to me, you know. But once the law of God was revealed to me, now it's alive. Sin is alive. I'm aware of it because I can see it now. It's active. I know when I'm sinning now. So now in return, because I'm not gonna lie, out there in those, in the streets and the projects and stuff, man, we would deem that was fun. It was no law. We were lawless, you know, but we had rules. Our rules was against the law. So, but we felt alive. You had, you had a name. You know what I'm saying? You had respect. You had, people couldn't just play with you any kind of way. They couldn't just do anything because they knew the repercussions of what comes along with this. So now, but then here comes God's law, God's rules. Now your respect is dead. It's God's respect. He's the one that does all the uh, 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 you know vengeance and things like that. Now it's not you, so you're not the forefront of the face of the vengeance. It's Him. You know, and I'm here to and see. This is the thing. This is Paul talking. That what Paul was doing. And you can only imagine the reason why he keeps saying, "For the things I think not I do, and the things I don't that I do I don't." It's because he's used to dealing with things with his respect. You know, he was a murderer, man. He was killing things that anything that opposed the rule of the land instead of spiritual law. You know, you couldn't just talk to Paul any kind of way. You couldn't treat Paul any kind of way. You couldn't, none of that can happen like that. And I'm pretty sure back in those times, if he wanted your woman, if he wanted your people, man, he could just take that. Now they're taking them and putting them in the jails. They're saying this and doing this, and you chasing them around, you know, because now he's following the law of Jesus, man. And I'm pretty sure in certain incidents, man, that would erupt how he used to think and how he used to treat things and how he used to carry things. That's why he said, man, it's in our members of our body, man. The sin, and it goes on even down in one part, and he talked about how even when I do good, sin is present. Even when I'm preaching good word to somebody, man, just to hear somebody talking behind my back, I think things. But see, the blood of Jesus is what cover it and keeps it from coming to action and coming to fruition. Like, I remember talking to a woman of God, right? And I know she always say this: just because I changed, the character of me still there. Like you can't change me. You know, now I can change my actions. So and I kept on thinking, man, nah, he said all new. For once you was one thing, now you're not that. So now I'm progressing to what Paul is saying. Yeah, I still think the things, but you would never know it. And it's the further and further relationship that you get with God and get with Jesus, because Jesus is going to pour that love into you. He's going at first. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding and wisdom. Now, I'm I'm I fear that if I don't show love, then God can let these things happen, or He can have this happen. He can have. So that's the beginning to know that I must show love, like the Sermon on the Mount. I should not. How many times should I forgive you? 70 times 7. If a person borrow from me and don't give it back, and then they borrow again, I let them borrow it again. You hit me on one cheek, I turn the other cheek. All of these things are giving people mercy and leniency for a reason, because that is love. It's patient. It's tolerant. It's no vengeance in it. There's no puffed up, no selfishness. Because now, if you hit me and I gotta hit you back, that comes out of ego. That comes out of because I want respect from you, not God. I'm not giving God the respect. I want that respect out of you. You shouldn't play with me. Me. Who am I? At any moment, God can have you kill me at any moment. He can allow you to. At any moment, he can allow Satan to get into another person, man, and the person can kill me at any moment. So the whole thing, that's why God said the vengeance is his. You know, and trust me, honestly, I'm just speaking real honest. It's not, trying to make myself more than I lived a life that it was like, yes, and I enjoyed it. I thought the other day, man, I'm like, man, I don't have a woman, man. Like, I really want a woman, like, to be with a woman. And I'm talking about open phone. She can have the phone, answer the phone for me. I'm always going to be where I say I am. All of these things. But at the end of the day, I had to be real conscious and be mindful that I built a lot of those women into that rough edge and then, that snap. And then I liked it. I liked the toxic. I did. I turned soft women into women, man, that's snappy, tote pistols, and it's. I liked it, but you might as well say I loved it. Like it was a. But now that God has convicted me, and He has done it a long time ago, man, even before the death of my son, the death of my friends and stuff like that, is I started to see how it wasn't fun. And I'm pretty sure when it started to be not fun to me is when I lost my first best friend. Because before him leaving, it just felt like we was invincible. We would just go and do anything to anybody at any time. And then when he left, man, it was like, whoa, that was like a reality check that we can't do anything to anybody at any time. Like it's only God that allowed us to go that long. For real. You know, he shot and killed a person in broad daylight. Didn't go to jail. The police weren't looking for him, and we still was walking around. Everybody was outside. And we went on to do more and more. It's then he got killed, you know, and then he took people with him because his actions. We were a team and we were a group, you know, and when he did what he did, he got him killed and another one of our people killed at the same time. They couldn't leave him alive. So now that's where the fear of God sets in. People say, no, that ain't really what that means. The reverence of no, the fear of God that can happen to you. That can happen to you. So then it's like it changes your tone a little bit. It makes you move a little different. But that's the beginning of understanding wisdom. So now it's like when you let them totally take over, that transformation is ongoing. And then it's you at no time should I get complacent in the transformation. No time should I get to where I changed enough. I can fall back up. No, he wants you to get, and he's gonna keep on chasing you until you become, just endowed with his blood and his laws and his love, for other people, man. That's why he said, a new commandment I add unto you. No longer do you love another as you love yourself, because you can treat yourself like a little bit, and you can get complacent. You love people as I love you, is what Jesus said. Like, I never cease in loving you. That's what Jesus said. I never cease. I kept on praying to God. I prayed without ceasing. I did everything, man, was always about his Father at all times. Why? For us. And then he laid his life on the line for us. So that's the same love that he gave us is when a new commandment I add unto you, that you love one another as I love you. So this can't happen, you know. And then listening to and then if anybody knows the full length of Paul's life, at the end, man, he died horribly. And just listening to what he's saying here, he did the works and stuff like that, but it seemed like he failed to fully have a full relationship with God to where he transformed completely. And he may have done it towards the end, but listening to this right here, because only book, and it's not. See, a lot of people try to use this for their lives to have a full understanding of God. I mean, a full understanding of what Paul is talking about. See, Paul is not talking about keep lying with women when he don't want to lay with women, or he lying to people when he don't want to lie to people. He wasn't doing those things because that wasn't his character before he even coming in the door. His character was murder. His character was following directions, man, for murder, slaughter, imprisonment, torturing. That's what Paul. So that would erupt. That is what would come up every time he's going to preach to these people, and he's getting spit in their face, or he's being chased around. And think about that. He's not used to being chased around, ridiculed. None of that. None of that. He was a soldier. And it's like, and he clearly said, I felt alive when sin was dead in my life. Well known. Couldn't treat him no any kind of way. And now that I've taken in the law and I gotta live it and let God take them, it was hard for him. And especially in those days, we don't even have those days going on now. You could be a Christian free willingly. Only thing you would get is somebody to say something wrong on Facebook or something. They're not killing you and putting you in jail because you're following Christ right now. That's not what's going on. So being covered by that blood, man, being covered by Jesus' blood is, in the beginning, you stop doing the acts, but you're still thinking it. But as you grow up and get more and more of relationship with God, but see, you have to cut everything out. See, those channels to keep that person still there, that's just like, to be honest, if I relapse and smoke, that old me will come. That old thinking of, you can't play with me, will come. Then you will start seeing that person. Now I bite my tongue so much that people just play with me now. Tell me in my face, man, you ain't that no more. You think you more than what you are. I'm not. I'm not him no more. I'm not. God don't seek no vengeance, he feel like there's no vengeance should be happening on my part, then it just ain't gonna happen because I'm not gonna give it to you. I'm gonna keep on in his word until he decides what he decides with my life. And I'm gonna grow closer to him and closer to him, and I'm gonna pray more, and I'm gonna, spend time with him. Sometimes I sit in my room and turn the light off, man, and just chill with him. Be looking at TV and cut it off. Because I feel like I'm giving the TV too much time. Or I be dead strolling too much on Facebook, Instagram. Then there's a bunch of women on there that booty me everywhere. So then I said, man, let me just stop this. At once I was heartening everybody, Joe, because I know they won't. And it's just and feeding into the egos and stuff like that. Because I know everybody likes a heart. And they count. They can lie to you all day. And they roll down and see how many people hearted that thing. And then when the heart's too low, then the ego messed up. They feeling some type of way. But then when it's up 100, 200, some people got 500 likes. That makes them feel good and they keep on. And you can always tell. Once you hot the thing, they start putting on, every good outfit and and stuff like that. So, but I gotta be mindful of what am I encouraging. Because a woman can look good with covered up, a lady. So then sometimes I try to heart that, opposed to when they get less clothes and less, So I try. So now it's to the point that I need to just get off it altogether because I need to spend more time with him. I need more. I need more. Sometimes, man, I feel like Paul. And when I feel like that, I feel like I need a lot of church. Like I need to do like old school. Go Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If they got something else going there, Sunday. Like I need to go back and work for the church. Every day I was on that compound. Every day I was working and I was doing something. And people used to even say, man, do you ever go home? But he kept me out of a lot. Not once did I sell a drug. Not once did I put my hands on anybody or raise a gun or none of that. Now I ain't gonna lie. The first time around, I was still smoking. So then a little bit of me will come show up because I'm leaving the door open for Satan. Because that's exactly what it is. It's a mood altering substance. That's what Satan play at. Music, Satan. It's the door for him. So now I don't do any of it. So I might just do that, man. See where I can volunteer, man. Get back to that if they'll have me. But that's what I need because I need it every day, man. Like I need to be able to fellowship, but I can't fellowship with it's certain people I cannot fellowship with. If they still using and smoking or drinking, or cussing, profane language, or like all of that type of stuff, man. I cannot indulge in it. Like I can't. And it seemed like ever since I stopped it, man, I don't have any friends. Nobody. And then it was like people that I thought didn't do none of those type of things before I left. You know, it seemed like I don't want to say in honor of me type thing, but it's like when I run back across them and I'm like, man, I don't do none of that. Well, I do. God still love me. And then it's like, man, was he doing that before I left, or he picked that up? But I don't know. But this is where I'm at. And I believe that the scripture is real, that you will become all new. To where you wouldn't even think this stuff no more. When people do certain things, you wouldn't even think to do anything. It wouldn't even arrive in your heart. Because I'm going to tell you, every time it arrives in my heart, I get punished severely. Whatever I was waiting for weeks to happen, man, I just get bad news. It ain't going to do it. They're not going to give you that. If I'm waiting on the job, it ain't going to come through. If I'm waiting on a client to come through because it's getting a little, clutching, man, I need a client. Then the person will call. Then if I think wrong, and it's almost like a test right behind it. You know, he lets Satan test me, and then if I spend, put it like this, if I'm listening to Christian music, reading, and now I'm thinking about the offense, and then I get so much into the offense that now I'm not reading anymore. I can't even hear the Christian music anymore, and all I'm thinking about is the next time we run across each other. The next time. And before you know it, what I was waiting on don't come through. Money get tight. You know, interaction with my kids don't have. Looked like we was getting in the right direction, Mike, with my bigger moment. Then it go all the way left, back to where we started. To me, in this day and time, man, I'm that old, man. That stuff hurt. Or to be alone, man, don't have a girl. You know, companionship. I can't afford it. And I sure can't afford to lose another child. That's the so I can't afford it. That's all I got, man. You know, stay prayed up, stay in the word. And when those thoughts arrive, man, as long as you don't do them in the beginning, but eventually, man, you gotta be prayed up enough to where he started to take that out of you. Don't even think it. You know, if you still got little habits going on, that's the reason why you still thinking. That's just real. Not that you're doing it. It's cool that you're not doing it. But if you still entertaining any other substances, any other things that are giving gateway for sin, it's gonna happen. You're gonna think the same. You're gonna talk the same in certain incidents. As long as you don't do it, but it's a way to get rid of it. I'm gonna keep making these as long as God is not mad at me. In Jesus' name we pray, man.